All of the attacks on the Tates are that they're okay. I agree. I think we should ban it.
No, it's that they have tech teams in Israel. It's that they sold out, they folded, they lied. They're not actually escaped the matrix. That they promoted gambling after saying they wanted to resist the slave mine. They promoted a course called Hustlers University, and then also made money off of the antithesis to escaping the matrix from gambling. That they sold out the Muslims by never condemning Tommy Robinson and saying he's a good friend, even though Tommy Robinson is an enemy of Andrew Tate if he actually is Muslim. The criticisms go a lot further than this. They love making it about right and left. But Piers Morgan had a debate about this. Piers Morgan's content's been good.
Reversal of the UK's long-standing policy never to prosecute Muslims for.
Well, I want to see one more time. Look at the beautiful purple outfit. Oh, yeah. He got arrested looking like bisexual Waluigi, bro.
I think the extradition was a stunning reversal of the UK's long-standing policy never to prosecute Muslims for trafficking or.
For Ben Shapiro, it's pretty hypocritical of him to crucify the Tates when the Daily Wire has
Good boy. Michael Knowles is one of Ben Shapiro's favorite. He's not even the top. It's Matt Walsh. Michael Knowles was supposed to have a baby, but he's scared and he's running away. I would destroy him too. Good slave. Obviously, that's why the first thing he said is the Muslims are, but they never attribute it to like when the Christians are everybody all over the world. Because hey, America's a Christian country, right? If America's a Christian country, then it's the Christians who killed 1 million people in Iraq. If it's the Christian American country, then it's the 1 million rice farmers that you could attribute to Christianity. It's the Christians who killed the 168 schoolgirls in Manab. You see how Islam is the only faith where they attribute all the bad things that happens, even if people aren't Muslim at all and they're CIA agents.
So true, why was there a cameraman there the exact moment of the arrest, very SUS?
Yeah, there's media following them, and maybe they heard he was going to get arrested.
on their platform.
You're acting like it was a guy filming on a phone?
I'm old enough to remember when Andrew Tate was not a Muslim, and I'm old enough to remember when the UK was...
Nigga, you're 45 years old, bro. How old is Adam Sosnick? That was like 3 years ago? I'm old enough, dude. You're also old enough to start a family and not be Hasbara propagandist for PBD. Like, he's in... You know what's funny? He's in Israel right now. Oh, he's not even 45. Adam Sosnick is approximately 46 or 47 years old. 47 years old. He was 19 when I was born.
Respected and also not a Muslim.
I grew up in South London
You're great,
on the
Piers.
mean
You're
streets.
great.
I worked and lived on the mean streets of Tooting, Balham, Wandsworth, Brixton.
Your life, Piers.
And he's so lucky Dave Smith wasn't there to destroy him.
She does Uber or whatever, you know, she's getting an Uber. My wife gets a female driver. I'm not joking. She will cancel it.
When that clip went viral and it was getting all the headlines, my wife said, she goes, Mac, you left out very important context, and which is true.
I think our government,
Dr.
they've
Phil?
been lying to the American people for 79 years.
This whole show is just...
Secretary of State Marco Rubio say they will not block the extradition of Andrew and Tristan Tate to the UK, where they face 59 serious charges, including and sex trafficking. It's a massive blow for the Tate brothers because only they hold the authority to block extradition if they consider the charges to be politically motivated. That's why Joseph McBride, attorney for the Tate brothers, has spent this week portraying them as political prisoners. There was a very direct appeal for the president's empathy.
The man that I voted for office, who's currently in office, had millions of charges slandered against him all over the place. Some of them he beat, some of them he didn't beat. Most people who understand the process know that that was a load of...
They're finally learning that Trump does not show any loyalty towards anyone that supported him. He doesn't care. If it doesn't serve his interests, he's not going to bail you out.
Most people who see this for what it is know that it is the same exact thing.
Now, I have no idea whether the Tate brothers will eventually be proven guilty or not guilty, as I've said repeatedly, including
Inshallah,
to their
guilty.
faces. I do know enough to say the case against them is not the exact same thing as the so-called lawfare against President Trump. I can also say with some confidence that the resignation of Keir Starmer as Prime Minister this week had nothing to do with Andrew Tate.
Keir Starmer just retired or is retiring. I'm sure he's mad that Andrew and Tristan...
Yeah. See, this is what the lawyer is saying it because he's trying to frame it as a woke left. But Keir Starmer left. So they can't use the... If it was Biden that was in charge, he'd be attacking Biden. But because Trump, the right wing, he wants to grift the right wingers, he can't attack him.
A lot to do with his fall in Great Britain. And there's a new guy in there right now. But this is the last vestige of attack of of a prime minister who didn't do a good job, and he continues to do bad work, and I'll just leave it there. Innocent until proven guilty. We're going to let the court process play out here the way that it should. We're happy to be here. Just to reiterate, Keir Starmer's resignation had zero to do with the Tate brothers. Not 0.0001%, but a big fat zero. Conspiracies aside.
But you see why, type of one, if you get it, right? This is the right-left slot. They just want the right-wing on their side.
Until proven guilty is correct, and it's important. I interviewed Andrew Tate in September, just minutes after a smaller case against him had been dropped.
Every time we speak, there seems to be some new case against me, and you quite, rightly say we'll wait to see what happens in court. And here we are 4 or 5 years later, and they all fall by the wayside. This is just one step closer to my complete exoneration, sir.
Correct me if your understanding is different to this. As I understand it, this is one case involving 4 women who are concurrently running a high court civil case against you. So they will have their case in a civil case, but it won't be criminal now. But that doesn't impact the other constabulary, which brought 21 charges against you and your brother Tristan earlier this year, right? That's still ongoing and still separate to this.
That's correct.
Well, none of us has any idea if the prosecution will succeed. The case might be baseless or a legal mess. Equally, they might be facing a lifetime behind bars. What we do know is that many US conservatives are facing tough questions on why their movement adopted the Tates in the first place. Republicans of 20 years ago would have blown their gaskets about Andrew Tate in particular. He may or may not be a criminal, but he's a self-described Muslim pornographer with a litany of outrageous statements and misdeeds. He's also extremely popular and a vocal supporter of Donald Trump. And that might explain why the Trump administration helped him to leave Romania in the first place and allow senior officials to make appearances like this.
Hi.
Hello, Alina.
Hi.
Hello.
Nice to meet you. I'm a big fan.
Well, nice to meet you. I'm a fan. You're the one saving Trump. You're doing more important work than me.
America, not just Trump. And I agree with everything you just said. And I think that your anger is the same that President Trump has for our
Look at the flags. Oh, I'm an American citizen. Why are they extraditing me to the UK? Well, right here, it looks like you're a UK citizen, don't it? I'm the Bruv Party. I'm going to be the Prime Minister of the UK. Well done. The self-snitching for them is going to be their downfall.
country. And the time is now for us to stop being wimps.
It's like, didn't Pablo Fuentberg say that? He's like, it's a disgrace if they extradite him to the UK. And then look at him here. So, wait, it looks like they kind of do belong there, don't it? Oh, yeah.
Well, whether people like the Tates are welcome and necessary for winning coalition, or whether principle should always come first, is the subject of our debate. But we begin with the lawyer representing 4 of the alleged Tate victims here in the UK, Matt Jury. Matt,
they should be happy they're going home.
Thanks for coming in.
No, thanks for having me, Piers.
This is a very complex case. It's been rumbling on for many years. One, why is it so complex? 2, why has it taken so long for justice to be done either way?
Well, firstly, I would say all prosecutions, investigations of prosecutions of crimes of this nature, of this seriousness, are going to be complex, and they're going to take a reasonable amount of time. But one, this is not an extraordinary case, and it isn't any more complex, necessarily, than other cases involving allegations of and sexual assault.
So where are we right now with this Tate case in totality?
Well, the question is which Tate case, because obviously there are prosecutions in multiple jurisdictions.
How many at the moment?
So we have the ongoing prosecution in Romania.
Yeah.
Romania and the UK.
We have the charges that have been authorised in the UK, for which the Tates are pending extradition. We have an investigation, not prosecution, but in the US by the DOJ, which we don't know what the status of that is. So that's 3 jurisdictions.
But the Romanian
The
courts
self-stitching. You remember, you guys were all there in the Red Pill era. They were bragging about, like, Eastern Europe, I could commit all these crimes. They were bragging about moving to Romania on the Nelk Boys podcast because they can get away with crimes, allegedly. Look now.
They ruled that the Tates must finish their criminal proceedings in Romania and trial before they can be extradited to the UK to face separate British charges. Is that correct?
No, almost, but not. What the Romanian court has actually ordered is that the Tates cannot be extradited from Romania to the UK.
But they could from the United States?
But they can be from the United
States.
States.
So is the most likely scenario now, pending any appeal by the Tates, that they will be extradited from the US direct to the UK?
Yes, I believe so.
And when would you imagine we could be looking at a trial?
In the UK?
Yeah.
Well, the statistics are from charge to trial and prosecution, the average is 18 months, around that amount of time. How long is it going to take to get them from the US to the UK? That's a different matter.
They're in custody?
They're in custody.
So they won't be going anywhere?
They have a bail hearing next week, is my understanding.
And they have a right to appeal?
They do, correct.
And if that was to happen, how long does that all take?
Speaking to American colleagues, I think it's going to be a matter of 6 months.
Right.
I think is probably a fair estimation.
So we could be looking at a trial potentially sometime in 2027, or would it take longer?
I'd say 2028,
Right.
but that's only best guess.
Now, the Tate's argument will be...
So are they going to be held for the whole
Where's
time?
our fair due process here? We've been at the centre of these investigations and multiple charges in multiple jurisdictions now for many, many years. That doesn't feel, to me, normal. Is it to you?
No, I don't think it's normal.
You know what's funny, too? You know what the Goipers say? The Goipers, this is their new name. They're like, the Goiper curse, the Goiper curse. Well, Andrew Tate became a Goiper, and now he's going to be held until his trial in, 2 years? Looks like that's the Goiper curse.
I think it's as a consequence of ineffective investigation being carried out by the UK authorities for close to a decade in respect of our clients' original criminal complaints that were made in 2014, 2015. And a litany of errors and mistakes that have taken place as a consequence of that.
You've got the Tate brothers' lawyer, Joseph McBride, who we heard earlier. He says the Tate brothers are American citizens who deserve full American constitutional protections. There should be no extradition of American citizens when the charges are unclear and political. What do you say to that?
Well, there's quite a bit to unpack there. I mean, firstly, yes, they're American citizens, but they're also British citizens.
They both have dual citizenship.
They're dual nationals.
Yeah.
Correct. The alleged victims are British. The alleged crimes were committed on British soil. So the UK courts have got jurisdiction. There's no argument about that at all. Now, as to Mr. McBride's statements that this is some sort of political persecution, well, you can go ahead and say it's political persecution, but it doesn't make it so. On what basis is he saying that? He's offered no explanation as to why this is a political persecution.
How compelling to you is the evidence against the Tates?
In
Based purely on the four...
Based
women
purely
you
on my
represent.
opinion and the evidence I've seen, I believe my clients. I believe the evidence is compelling, and there is an abundance of it.
If they're convicted, I had a guest on earlier this week who said that they would face life imprisonment. Would that be your understanding if they're convicted of the majority of these charges?
I have to confess, sentencing guidelines are so nuanced. I really wouldn't want to pass comment other than to say I think it would be for an extraordinarily long period of time.
Do you think they deserve life imprisonment on what you've been told by your clients?
Do they deserve life in prison? I'm not going to comment on that. I'm not the one who's passing sentence.
Your clients, obviously, they've made the allegations, they've been at the centre of this, but they remain anonymous, rightly. But how are they coping with the fact that their case is being discussed and debated around the world? It's not a normal case. This has got huge global attention.
It's horrific and it's traumatising. But that only speaks to their courage and their bravery in continuing in the face of that. But the fact is, they were dealing with that before they stepped forward to challenge Tate and to campaign to ensure that Tate faces justice here in the UK and is held to account and faces the allegations being made against him. Because for years they had to bear witness to Tate's rise on social media and in the public domain as an individual of influence.
There's been a lot of intimidation from Tate supporters against anyone that takes them on. Have you had it yourself?
Yes, very much so.
And what's that like as a lawyer to receive that?
Well, look, I've spent 20 years as a public interest litigator, and I've represented victims of terror against organisations, state sponsors of terror, rogue states.
So you're used to threats?
I'm used to threats, and I'm used to intimidation. And I've got to confess, this is of another level.
Really?
Yeah.
Even to that stuff you just mentioned?
Yeah, I've been put under surveillance.
Really?
Yeah.
Who by, do you think?
I have to be careful because I've only got there's the conclusions that I reach, which are reasonable conclusions, that I was put under surveillance by.
I don't know what lawyer that is, but this is Top Goy's lawyer right now. Look at this. Boom. Oh, man. Man, I would be panicking right now if I was in solitary and that's my lawyer, bro.
By those associated with Tate.
At their behest?
That would be my conclusion.
Dude, they have tech teams in Israel. They could get the best lawyers. Why are they picking
my
that guy?
belief, yes.
And any direct threats?
What, physical violence?
Yeah.
No.
But threats of?
It's harassment and intimidation.
Just
insults, etc. Yeah.
And you've never had this before in your career?
Not to this level. No.
What does that say about?
Not to the level where someone's outside your house. No, for a matter of weeks.
And what does that feel like?
It's deeply unpleasant.
For weeks they're outside your house? That's horrific.
Yeah. Yeah. I had my personal information unlawfully obtained, which is how they found me in the first place. Because given my career and my history, I'm very careful about what information is in the public domain. You know, my address is not a matter of public record. And I know that my personal information was obtained unlawfully. That was the subject of a police investigation.
Did you hesitate before coming on and doing this interview?
No.
Why?
Because I've got a job to do.
Matt Jury, thank you very much.
Thank you, Piers.
Well, joining us now to debate all this is the host of the Daily Wire's Michael Knowles Show. Michael Knowles, PBD podcast contributor, a friend of the Tate brothers, Adam Sosnick. And a late addition, return to the show, is longtime Conservative Tate supporter, Pearl Davis. Well, welcome to all of you. Michael Knowles, this is, as we've just been hearing, it's a complex case. It's been running for many years. More and more charges have been levelled at the Tates. But what was interesting about this, I think, politically, is the way many on the Conservative right wholeheartedly embrace the Tates. So we've got a couple of supporters on the panel here now. Notwithstanding the sheer volume of very serious charges that were continuing to be levelled against them. And now we have this extradition call from the UK, which the US looks like it's not going to try and counter. What do you feel about this?
Well, I think the extradition was a stunning reversal of the UK's long-standing policy never to prosecute Muslims for trafficking or that really surprised a lot of people, I think. You get the grooming gangs report come out. I just interviewed Sammy Woodhouse, one of the victims of that. And you think, well, this went on for decades and decades. The UK not only neglected it, they intentionally turned it away.
Also, Americans not prosecuting anybody on the Epstein list. J.D. Vance just went on Joe Rogan and said that, yeah, we really mishandled the Epstein case, but the grooming gangs in the UK, if this guy's an American, this is what he cares about.
Blind eye. They knew what was going on in many cases. They ignored the victims. So that's one thing that raises eyebrows about the prosecution of the Tates. All of that said, though, not only is there, I think, a fair bit of evidence that the Tates committed all sorts of crimes, but they did brag about a lot of this activity. You know, if the crime or one of the allegations that relates to some of the crimes is that they were pimps, you know, they prostituted women. Andrew Tate did brag about that. You know, he did brag about his degree as a PhD, a pimp and hose degree. They are open about having run businesses. In some of the cases here, you have allegations from women who say that Tate raped them or abused them, and you have very consistent allegations here. But then, of course, in some of the allegations, you have women who say that they were abused by Andrew Tate for over a period of years. In other words, they were in a relationship with Tate for years, but some of his behavior was abusive or even criminal. And I think all of that can be true. So I understand why people raise their eyebrows at an investigation and prosecutions that have gone on in multiple countries for multiple years. But we should be.
This is the champion of the right wing right now. Is a guy who got rich off of selling a hose degree. That's the conservative right. That's their guy.
Clear about the facts here. You know, they have been open about a lot of very shady, dodgy, and possibly criminal activity. They are Brits who moved to Romania. Brits never moved to Romania to do good stuff. You don't move to Romania to go bake a pie for the widow, okay? You move to Romania to do really sketchy, dodgy stuff that they've been very open about. And so the reason I think people on the right, in the American right, have in some cases embraced or defended the Tates is because in certain cases they have the same enemies, the same kind of liberal, woke, globalist agenda, that's true, and also because these institutions of global liberalism have been corrupt. So
Brother
that
Nicholas,
gives an opening
they must
to...
have cloned Tate. I don't remember him being this evil he changed.
I think you just were, I think you're looking back without the rose-tinted glasses.
The defense attorneys and the Tates to say, well, look, just as Trump was a victim of the corrupt institutions, so am I. It can be the case that they're guilty as sin, and the institutions that are prosecuting them are corrupt as well. I think both of those...
The Tates need to be locked up for being... They need to go to jail. The laws need to be rewritten to put them in jail. Lock him up! Lock him up!
Things can be true and very likely are.
Adam Salzig, welcome back to Uncensored. I want to play a clip from Ben Shapiro, who this week attacked Nick Fuentes, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens and others for defending what he said were the Muslim Andrew and Tristan Tate. Let's listen to what he said.
Tucker, as I've mentioned, devoted hours of airtime proclaiming Tate.
So now Ben Shapiro is against who owns Pornhub, who owns OnlyFans, who owns Tinder, Hinge, Grindr.
It's innocent. So did Candace. The vice president followed the Tate brothers on X. Is this a coincidence? It's all the same people. It's all the same people. These are the conspiracy theorists. These are the reactionary right, horseshoe theory people. These are the did the Holocaust really happen? Simultaneously hugging Muslim who allegedly raped white women. Nick Fuentes is constantly claiming to hate.
Is Ben cooking?
I mean, that's when he's not, having a window open with trans on it. He claims to despise the Jews for supposedly having spread a pornographic culture, despite the fact that Judaism opposes and finds it a sin.
The point of his later comment...
Does it? Wait a second. Ben just said... Wait a second. What about Solomon? A rabbi is overseeing Pornhub. That's actually not so weird. The rabbi who owns Pornhub, Solomon Frieden, was ordained as an Orthodox rabbi, but his day job is a lawyer, and his passion is making ethical. Okay, bro.
Adam, were attacking what he said was the hypocrisy of people like Nick Fuentes, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens for defending Muslim, as he put it. What do you feel about that?
Well, I have massive respect for Ben Shapiro and as well as Michael Knowles. I thought he crushed it right there. And I'm also friends with Andrew Tate. You can have diverging opinions in your life and still respect.
Isn't it very telling that the only Muslim that all the like Adam Sosnick, the only is top, that's the only one, that's their best friend? That should be a major red flag. And if any Muslim is still on the fence about this, this should be the last domino. Oh, okay. If every single loves Top Goy as the only Muslim and they hate every other Muslim, it tells you a lot more about Tate than it does about Muslims.
Both parties right there. But I've known Andrew Tate for at least 5 years. I've been a fan of Ben Shapiro for God knows how long. I think maybe if there was a cross-section of two people, it would be someone like Ben and someone like Tate. So you could be a masculine, strong, powerful guy and still have values.
SNEAKO did it. I'm a masculine, powerful guy. Adam, I'm sorry for the song. I sorry if I offended anybody for the song.
And conservative principles and standards and respect women. Now, I watch Ben all the time. I saw him do a 45-minute episode on Andrew Tate. I know he's not a fan of Andrew Tate. I don't think Andrew Tate or Tristan Tate, who I've known for quite some time, consider themselves conservatives, right? I think where they both align is that they can confidently say that the Labor Party of the left, the Democratic Party of the left in America are ruining the country and are ruining the world. And if you can team up to get someone like Trump elected, I think that's where all these forces kind of came together. Now, Ben Shapiro, if he had his opinion, he probably would have never had Andrew Tate endorsement. But that's irrelevant because Alina Habba, we just showed, I believe. I think you showed Donald Trump Jr. I think Barron Trump is a fan of Tate. So there's they'd say have a big tent. For me, the Republican Party is a big tent as long as you love America. Now, Tate is an American. He's also a Brit. He's also moved to Romania.
Look, the state of the American right wing. Adam Sosnick is in Israel, and their champion is a dual citizen with top pornographer.
Viewed the Tates at least 5 times on the PBD podcast. And I'll tell you one story that made me a little more confident in the Tates. You ready? So, by the way, they've been charged with or allegations of some of the most heinous, absurd, horrible, ridiculous crimes, and they've never been convicted of anything. But one time in Fort Lauderdale, when they were able to fly in and he sort of challenged DeSantis, he said he had to go back to Romania, and I asked him, why do you need to go back? You're here in the States. He goes, I'm going to man up, and I'm going to show up, and I'm going to be there in trial, and I'm not on the run. That made me a little bit like, wow, this guy really believes in what he's doing.
Wow, he really does, except when it's the song. He really believes in escaping the Matrix, except when the tech teams in Israel don't like the song.
Paul Davis, welcome back to Uncensored. I mean, I've always felt with this case against the Tates that ultimately it will come down to the issue of consent. That they are going to, I suspect, say, yeah, we had relationships with these women, and everything that was conducted in those relationships was consensual. I may be wrong, but that's my feeling about the way this is all going to play out, including the webcam business they ran and so on.
What about the cheese pizza? What about all the grape?
How can you be sure from the outside, given you weren't there when this was all going on, how can you be sure they never crossed that line?
Well, I obviously can't be sure if I wasn't there. I don't know. But if there's facts that come out that back up the girls, then I'll go with it. But I think a lot of men in this country can relate. I mean, you guys have ex-girlfriends, don't you? You've never had an ex-girlfriend make up a lie about you, or you've never had that happen to a friend of yours. And for Ben Shapiro, it's pretty hypocritical of him to crucify the Tates when the Daily Wire has ex-stars on their platforms. So they've had Nala Ray, they had on Lawrence Summers, who accused a bunch of... Yeah,
Wait,
I know, but they still...
That's news to me.
Maybe not technically, but she falsely accused a bunch of guys in the conservative party. Like, it's, women will do the most egregious of sins and do the most egregious things, and you guys all put them on your platforms. There's no question about it. But if there are a lot of questions in interviews that go on for a long time.
But there are a lot of, that's what an interview is. But then also, I think the crucial point you're missing,
right? But you give them
softball
it's one thing
to put on people who have reformed and repented,
you give them
not people who are
interviews.
unrepentant.
W Pearl, I ain't gonna lie. Pearl just cooked that. Pearl cooked. Ben Shapiro's second favorite is here.
You give them softball interviews that you would never give the
He's seething.
guy, and there's never any penance for it. So it's pretty hypocritical that they're crucifying the Tates for making money off of cam work when you don't crucify the stars that come on your platform that also made money off of cam work. Like, there's a bunch
we
of
try not to crucify people. I agree. That's true. We try not to do that. But I think you're making apples and oranges comparison.
I know you think it's funny, but like this is a claim from like 10 years ago.
Not on camera.
This is a claim from like 10 years ago. So it's like we're
but Paul, that doesn't make it.
That's a stupid argument. It's like the Epstein crimes. A lot of it happened in the 80s, 90s, 2000s. Just because it's 10 years ago doesn't mean you're now innocent.
Automatically untrue.
I know.
And what we now have nearly 60 charges, and these aren't just trivial charges. These involve human trafficking, sexual abuse, forming an organised crime group. We've just heard from a lawyer representing 4 of the women.
Forming an organised crime group. I moved to Romania because I'm like a mob boss. I'm like the mafia. I have all these mafia connections. I have a casino. It's run by the Romanian mob, allegedly.
On the evidence he's seen, it's extremely compelling, extremely detailed, and that when people see the full details, they will understand what is really happening here.
I just think there's got to be an end date to it. You cannot keep dragging people to court from stuff from a decade ago. So if the evidence comes out
you
and
can
I'm wrong,
based
I'm
on the
wrong.
statute of limitations, right? Isn't that how
Yeah,
the
I
law
know.
works?
I know.
What did Tate answer in Romania when you asked him if he wants to help, or is it all money?
When you asked him if he wants to help, yeah, I brought up Pablo Fuentberg to the top back in Romania.
Avocados from Mexico.
I said the real issue is, like, even back then, bro, I was talking about the occupation here, and they kind of froze up. You know, he didn't want to get into that subject. He wanted the Matrix to be feminism.
Well, no, every jurisdiction has some statute of limitations on certain crimes. I don't really understand what you're arguing for.
I understand what you're saying, but my objection is to the hypocrisy. I just think when he played the clip of Ben Shapiro, I just couldn't stop thinking about how hypocritical it is, because you guys have stars on your platform and you give them these softball interviews, and yet then you crucify a guy doing
Pearl, I think you hit a glitch because you're repeating yourself, but I'm just asking what the hypocrisy is. If one is to do an interview with someone who's repentant, or even not repentant, just anybody, you know, you can interview Osama bin Laden or something.
Louis, thank you for the 5 subs.
That's the job of a journalist. But how does that relate to your objection to the extradition?
Of course, his example of evil is Osama bin Laden.
Tate brothers for the alleged crimes. I don't see. I get that you don't like Ben Shapiro, but I don't
let me just jump in. I agree with Michael. She made her point about the Daily Wire. I think we can move on and focus on the Tates here. That's right?
Well, I mean, my thing about this is you've got so many people on the right.
So people were asking, like, is it just a grift? Do they actually care? Well, this is who he is. This is 2019. Andrew Tate's Twitter account. He was banned a lot at the time. This is before Elon's ex, and this is one of his accounts. Even watching a Star Wars trailer may leave you homeless on the street with AIDS. Only I have the path to absolute financial freedom. Do not follow the Jedi. Follow the Jesus. Tate.com. And here's Tate depicting himself like Jesus. No wonder he likes Trump. Trump did the same thing. Avocados from Mexico.
Clavicular, yes, on Monday, and he was like, "None of this is true. It's all a political stitch up." Blah blah. He has no absolute.
And let's see if it's all a grift or not. You guys know it's my pinned tweet. In 2015, I said I considered converting to Islam after I read the autobiography of Malcolm X. Well, here's top saying, if I was forced to move back to London, I would instantly convert to Islam. Why? Because it's the truth? No, it's the only way to protect yourself. Terrorists won't you. So he thinks Muslims are terrorists. 70% of the people you meet are Muslim. 5 wives. 4 lying. Leave them home and roll with the boys. Ever seen a Muslim get Me Too'd? Exactly. So based off of this, he only converted to Islam to beat his charges.
Absolutely no evidence that any of that is true that he said. He just happened to hang out with the Tates in Miami a few months ago, which became notorious because they played the Kanye song and they were all seen dancing along.
They don't understand the things I say. I'm Piers Morgan. It's too bad, too. I think Piers is still, because when he was calling me out and saying, it's reprehensible. How could you play that song? It's a song. And I said, bro, how could you meet with Ghislaine Maxwell? And then he blocked me. You remember that back in January during the whole Club of Cause situation? I think Piers is still holding a grudge. This is the type of interview that I would be, if from Piers' perspective, I would be perfect for this type of panel. But I think he's really that I said that he was at a party with Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah, but there are lots of people racing to defend these guys. I've interviewed Andrew Tate 5 times, I think, maybe more. And I've always made the point, look, until you're proven guilty of something.
Piers never answered my question. I asked him, why would you go to that island? And then he threatened to sue me.
And anyone is entitled to be innocent till proven guilty. But, my point, I think, Adam, about this is that the volume of the charges and the severity of the charges means the prosecutors must be confident they have a pretty strong case here. And these are really serious allegations. And so the rather trivial way that many on the conservative right in America have simply dismissed all this as political stuff, I think is ridiculous.
I just find it hard to believe it if they were in a relationship after.
Well, hang on, Paul. I'll come to you. But just Adam, first of all.
Yeah, I hear you. Look, I can't tell you how much content and interviews legitimately with both Tates I've done on this. And what I realized, there's 3 camps. There's the camps that are going to say, put them to jail. They're rapists. I can't believe them. They're such toxic masculinity. You're not going to convince those people of anything. There's the people who are going to say, bro, he's innocent, straight up. It's all a hit job. It's a political warfare. This is what's going on. His weapon is... You're not going to convince those people otherwise. What I hope in America and around the world is there's still reasonable people
in America
who are willing to...
He's in Israel right now. he's literally... That's why his studio looks like this. He's in Israel. Us Americans, look at me. I have a pin. I have the American flag pin, just like Mark Levin. He's literally in Israel now.
Look at what's called facts. I believe Ben Shapiro talked about facts, not feelings, and legitimately see what happened here. Here's my experience. I remember 3 years ago when we first interviewed Andrew Tate, I want to say, in Spain, Madrid. We had to meet at a secret location with PBD. Then that's when he got canceled. Then we had to fly to Romania to their compound after I was on house arrest. I remember all these different situations and everyone saying, this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. What happened in Romania specifically? Let's do this. In Romania, he was charged with the most heinous crimes: human trafficking, minors, money laundering.
Perfect. He's just a yapper. He doesn't say anything, but he talks a lot. He doesn't have points. I noticed this too. A lot of people do this. They just love to talk about their clout and the people, and they love to name drop, but they don't say anything.
Trying to start basically a organized crime. And what happened with all those allegations, Piers and all my other friends out here? 0 convictions. And 0. Not like, well, we got you on 1 like Diddy. So you have super famous people.
Well, it is ongoing. Yeah, but hang on. The Romanian, yeah, but hang on, Adam.
Diddy and the Tates are still innocent.
Yeah, but Adam, the Romanian process is ongoing, so it's not like they've been cleared of everything in Romania. They haven't.
How much time do they need?
Well, I think there are legitimate questions about how long this is all taking.
How many years do they need?
No, I agree.
I thought we believe in a fair and speedy trial. I'm not sure what's going on in the UK these days, and the hypocrisy with the grooming gangs and everything going on here. But I'm old enough to remember when Andrew Tate was not a Muslim, and I'm old enough to remember when the UK was respected.
You and Dean the Great got the most knockoutable face and behavior. Hateable characters.
Okay, then do it.
Also, not a Muslim.
Is Adam Sosnick the tech team in Israel?
So let's be fair here, and whether it's Romania and the UK, get it over with, not just because of the Tates, because there's some victims of it.
Adam, when you say the UK is Muslim, what you I think meant to say is that 5% of the UK is Muslim. Did you miss out the percentage, or was there some reason for that?
You know we like to have fun in the show, and you know that we're joking, but there's also some truth in every joke.
Well, there's no truth in the fact we're a Muslim country. There's 5% of the population is Muslim. 95% are not.
And it's going great. The gangs, the free speech, everything's going great.
We had a real issue, but as Michael, I mean, you talk about hypocrisy.
I just encourage you to clean it up.
Michael hit the nail absolutely on the proverbial head.
He's one of the sharpest guys out there, Michael.
Well, of course he is. That's why I always have him on.
Come on.
But this point, there is a stunning hypocrisy that many on the conservative right in America have been attacking the UK.
It's just so rich to see people that like this in Israel. This is where Epstein fled to Israel when he was first convicted of sex crimes to talk about grooming gangs. They clearly don't care about the victims. They don't care about the women at all. They just politicize these crimes so that they can further their agenda. It's so blatant.
Relentlessly. Elon Musk and others have been doing this, right, saying, you guys, you protect these Muslim sex criminals, blah, 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 blah. And, of course, Andrew Tate...
Like, Israel's the nation that protects the most amount of sex criminals in the world because they won't get extradited outside. They can commit all these crimes in America and then flee to Israel, and Israel will protect them. That if you showed the sex offender list in Israel, it would look like a measles report on a kid. It looks like a kid with an extreme red dots all over Tel Aviv.
And his brother, they're Muslims now, are charged with very serious sex crimes against women. And suddenly it's all like, well, they're all trumped up, it's all political, whatever. Imagine if people in the grooming scandal had said the same thing.
Yeah, there is a real peril
Piers,
about the
I have to answer this
here.
real quickly. Michael, sorry, if I may. Michael, please, and I'm going to give you the floor. Piers, Andrew Tate, number one, Tristan is not Muslim. Andrew Tate's been Muslim for 15 minutes. Whatever's been going on in the UK is a status quo.
Tristan, I couldn't remember if Tristan was or not.
Real things.
So Tristan is not, he hasn't converted, it's only Andrew.
Piers, I'm in Jerusalem right now, and I was in Tel Aviv. I can't tell you how many Brits have come up to say, hey.
Isn't it funny? So, like Adam Sosnick are saying that Andrew Tate's been Muslim for 15 minutes. I've been Muslim for less time than Andrew Tate, and they're calling me a jihadist now. Like, I'm banned in Australia because they're saying I'm an extremist.
Big fan, see you on Piers. He's the man, love you. We're moving the out of London for fear of our lives. And the number isn't 5, 10, it's dozens
well, I'm saying the hell in London, and I haven't feared for my life.
So unless they're lying to me about what's going on there, I'm going to take
You live in a nice part.
I don't live in a nice part. I live in... I actually live...
It's amazing.
I can tell you, I grew up in South London on the mean streets. I worked on the mean streets of Tooting, Balham, Wandsworth, Brixton. Right, West London is a very mixed environment. The problem with you Americans is you don't actually come over here to look for yourselves.
I lived in London for 3 years, Piers. Right. I lived there.
And you don't think West London has people from
my ex-wife is British. I've seen this.
West London is the nice part. I lived in the east. So,
let's get back to the series.
You were not. Because you
actually, Pearl she lived in a nice area. I even went to the masjid with Pearl, and it's funny because she talks about how women are all the time. This is the funniest situation that ever happened. I don't know if it's in a vlog or not, But Pearl spends her whole time talking about how women dress too much. Oh my God, you're showing your cleavage. Pearl wants to go to the masjid with me. She goes to the women's side, I go to the men's side. She didn't get in because she wasn't wearing a dress that was long enough. They used Pearl's tactic on her. She said, Astaghfirullah, sister, you need hijab. But she's there like in a short dress and her knees are showing. She's like, yeah, I wasn't allowed to go in. If she was wearing a normal dress, they could have given her a headscarf, but she wasn't even dressed appropriately. She just had to go. You just had to go. Ay, ay, ay.
That's like what we see with our eyes, Piers.
What do you think you see with your eyes? You said, I mean, poor old Adam says he can't. Apparently, Londoners are terrified. They're leaving the country.
That is absolutely not true. At least not in London. And I can tell you, just walking around London for 3 years.
What do you think?
This is what commentators do. They want to say, believe my statistics. Don't believe what you see with your eyes.
No,
and that's why
I'm asking you to believe what I see with my own eyes.
That was a good one.
I've lived in London since I was 20 years old. I'm now 61.
And the nice part, because
in 41 years of living in London.
There's no way you are living
I have
in the
never
slums
once
of
feared for my
You made a lot
life.
of money and you're successful. Embrace it, baby.
There is no way. You did not live in East London. There's no way.
Pierce, I got...
So 3 Americans telling the actual Brit what Britain's like. Americans are the most arrogant people in the world, bro. It's like three Americans telling an actual Brit what Britain is like. You don't even know, Piers. He's like, I'm 61. I've spent my entire life here. You don't even know.
I agree with
I
our
worked
friend
in
here.
East
There's
London.
no way that you out there on
I
the
worked in East London.
I
worked in East
You're too big
London.
of a celebrity at this
I
point.
worked in East London for 16 years.
But not now, see? And
How
there's a
long
reason.
ago, Pierce?
Well, it's a bit like saying, look, I've got a home in Los Angeles.
Pierce, you're dating yourself, baby.
No, I'm 61, but I look 50.
Adam's 47 years old, bro.
Listen,
You
Americans
do.
don't
You look
try
great,
for
but you
our
also
lives.
worked there
LA.
40 years ago, big
LA
dog.
is the same. I have a home in LA. There are parts of LA where you might fear for your life. Most of the places you don't. Same with London.
Pierce,
I know,
next thing
that's
you're
easy
going to
for
tell me
you
that
to say.
LA is doing just
China
fine
does it.
as well.
Americans are the only people where you could be really wrong and really loud about it.
It's not. I don't like the way LA's gone at all. Let's come back to the text. Let me bring in.
I love you so much,
There's a wider
Pierce.
show to be had about whether Britain is. It's so terrifying. Everyone has to leave. It's bull. Anyway,
No,
by the
it's
way,
not
let's
terrifying.
not
You
even
can
get
afford
into.
to live
Andrew
in the
Tate is the
next
one.
door.
Let me ask
Andrew
you
Tate-
one question.
Andrew Tate's saying this
Let
out
me
loud.
ask you one question. Which city are you all currently in? Mike.
Already?
I'm in
Awesome to see you on this panel.
And what if, wait, let's see where everybody is.
the free air of Nashville, Tennessee. But to your point, I was just with you, Piers, in London.
Yes, you were.
And I
Did you fear for your
survive.
life?
But, well, the one thing is, because I'm Sicilian, I might pass for like a North Pakistani, so they might have let me off the hook. I don't know. I was in danger when I was there.
You never fear for your life. Where?
He does doesn't Michael Knowles look like, he looks like Al Pacino in The Godfather 2, doesn't he? He looks like, Fredo, you betrayed me. Mwah. Mwah.
Pass for like a North Pakistani, so they
does
might let
look-
me off the hook. I don't know. I didn't have any danger when I was there.
You never fear for your life. Where are you, Adam, at the moment? Miami?
Well, I'm born and raised Miami. I just happen to be in Jerusalem right now.
Oh my. I got tech teams in Israel. I just happen to be. Oh my gosh, bro. Oh my, subhanallah.
That's why I gave you all those people who are basically saying they're trying to leave London. So that's my experience here. That's my lived experience, Pierce. It's just my lived
Paul, where
experience,
are
my
you?
truth.
I spent 3 years in London.
Where are you now?
And now I left because it actually was so bad.
Where are you now?
And now I live in Dallas.
So you want me to believe that the Dallas rate, for example, is better than London's?
I don't know what the rate is.
Let me
It's
help
better-
you. The murder rate in every American major city is infinitesimally worse
Well,
than it is in
I
London.
can't.
Why are you
can't.
not
Let's
scared of your
go
life?
to the
You were-
rape statistics. Let's go to the statistics.
Yeah, look, you were talking about the Muslims being in London, and it's only 5%.
Yeah.
And I said that is absolutely not true. And
No, I said
could-
5% in the UK.
Yeah, whatever it is in London, it's
How
way
much
higher.
in
And it's
London, though,
completely-
Piers?
And it's a
It's slightly
completely
higher,
different
slightly higher in
experience.
London, as it is in most American cities.
Why-
Oh yeah, you see, it says 6.5%. The entirety of the UK, it's 6.5%, not 5. Close. What about London? London, it's got to be like, I was gonna say 20%. It's 15%. London has 15% Muslims.
Oh my God.
Let me bring
Come
things
on
back.
in the West,
You know
I
what?
would
There's a
live
bigger
there
show to be had about the murder rate in America compared to London.
I
Trust
agree.
me, we will win. But let me bring it back to the Tates. So, Michael, let's talk about where we are with this case, because They are likely to be extradited, I would say, within the next 6 months, whatever happens, back to the UK. They're likely to then face quite a lengthy trial, probably, as we heard from a lawyer, for some of the alleged victims in 2028. So this could get wrapped up sometime in 2028. It is, to me, an unfeasibly long time from start to finish this, but at least there seems to be some light at the end of the criminal tunnel, if you like, for these two guys. If they were to be convicted...
He said it's sad that Pearl's on the anti-Muslim stuff now. Yeah, I mean, it goes against her entire philosophy. She spent her entire career saying that women are... that we need conservative values, we need to protect men from the dating market. Islam literally fixes everything that Pearl's grifting, and she sees where the money is and is going right there. Islam would fix everything that she's talking about.
Multiple counts.
In fact, why is Pearl even on this panel? Go make a sandwich. Go make Adam Sosnick a sandwich. Make a shawarma. Okay, put some hummus on it. Why are you here? Right? She says that women need to be in the kitchen. Women should shut up. Women should stop talking. Get off of this panel and make a sandwich.
And receive a life or very long sentence. Where would that leave everyone on the conservative right in the US in particular that were so happy to jump on board with them, knowing there were a lot of accusations out there about them?
They probably wouldn't look all that great. You know, the thing is, the great thing about being a political commentator or an influencer is you never have to admit you were wrong about anything. And just poke at people. They have the attention span of a fruit fly. The one area, though, where I think people could really be justified in not opposing a conviction of the Tates, but of demanding something more be done, is to the point on hypocrisy. Not the hypocrisy of journalists, asking questions or anything, but the hypocrisy of these institutions. Because the way that the Tates are defending themselves is they're saying, yeah, look, maybe our behavior was reprobate, but it wasn't.
It's interesting, too. They never apologize for their... They apologize for the song. I'm sorry for the song, but making an empire off of contributing to the decline of the white race by out their women and making guys off instead of having families, never apologize.
Technically illegal.
Allegedly.
Yeah, maybe I had this abusive relationship with this girl, but it was a relationship that went on for 2 years.
That is their
wasn't
argument,
rape. Yeah, that is their argument. And so you can take that to the political level, which is all of the attacks on the Tates are that they're, okay, I agree. I think we should ban it.
No, it's that they have tech teams in Israel. It's that they sold out, they folded, they lied. They're not actually escaped the matrix, that they promoted after saying they wanted to resist the slave mine. They promoted a course called Hustlers University and then also made money off of the antithesis to escaping the matrix from that they sold out the Muslims by never condemning Tommy Robinson and saying he's a good friend, even though Tommy Robinson is an enemy of Andrew Tate if he actually is Muslim. The criticisms go a lot further than this. They love making it about right and left.
Prosecute, but looking at as an industry, the Tates are small potatoes. Why aren't they going after the big guys who are actually playing in if you're talking about trafficking, yeah, trafficking is really bad. They may have trafficked girls. Why don't we go after the cartels and the organizations that are actually trafficking people? You have, at least in my country, in America.
Perfect. Michael knows. You just said the cartel. Okay, so it's Muslim grooming gangs in the UK, but the cartel, all Catholic. That's not a Catholic drug empire? Why is Michael Knowles not calling the cartel Catholic? What's the cope there? Michael Knowles is also a Catholic. What about the mafia? Is that the Catholic mafia empire? The Sopranos? Oh, hey, bada bing, bada boom. Hey, I'm gonna go extort everybody. Hey, babango. The cartel, they're coming in with Pablo Fuentburn to give fentanyl all over America. But that's not called a Catholic drug problem. Interesting.
Okay. And actually in your country, too, you have the left-wing parties who are facilitating that kind of stuff. You want to take seriously, obviously, we've been talking about the grooming gangs. There's been neglect of that issue here in the United States. So I just say, okay, yeah, great, fine. Go after the Tates if they committed the crimes, throw them in jail forever. But what about the broader political implications? Because that really is a hypocrisy if you're only going after it when it's some online influencer, but not the far more widespread and egregious problems that are systemic.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Now, look, on the subject of traffic, and this is a clumsy segue, but it's because you were in the news, Michael, weren't you, for your views about Uber drivers this week, in which you said this.
Is it something about Muslims?
My wife comes to me. She does Uber or whatever, she's getting an Uber. For me, I get a female driver, I say, whatever, it's going to take me longer to get to the airport, but it's fine. My wife gets a female driver, I'm not joking. She will cancel it.
No.
Yes.
I am stoked when I get a female Uber driver because I'm not going to get murdered, okay?
Well, they have a new one now?
They're real conservative. So he's married and he's the conservative Catholic. Here he's doing a podcast drinking with another woman, drinking martinis out. This is the conservative. Okay, let's go get drunk and on a date?
Yeah, because women are afraid of being kidnapped or murdered or something. But so they have this new one where women can request female drivers. And my wife, she's like, Meg,
Are they going to do one where I can only request a male driver, please? I want
Is
to
this
get
what
there
your
on
wife
time.
sounds like?
Exactly. And it's an amazing.
And look at him dunking on his wife on a date with some girl.
Now,
With
other than
Lauren
your
Southern.
extraordinary impression of your wife, which I'm not quite sure how she would take that.
Unbelievable,
but
bro.
were you basically using her but quietly believing the same thing? I mean, do you yourself ever have a female Uber driver?
Oh, how could you suggest such a thing, Piers? When that clip went viral and it was getting all the headlines, my wife said, she goes, Mac.
That clip did not go viral. Nobody saw that. Is that his moment? Oh my God, base, female drivers. Type of one if you didn't see that clip. He thinks that was his moment. No one cares, bro.
You left out very important context, and which is true. The context I left out is that she hates getting.
And he's going on Piers Morgan to publicly disrespect his wife. These are your conservative American values.
Female Uber drivers, in part because I'm so chatty. So I'm talking to them, and the women are much more likely to get distracted than the men. So I think my point still totally stands. I am late to the airport when I have a female Uber driver. They miss the exit. They're not.
Wow.
I take some responsibility for
That's
that
messed
as
up,
well.
Michael.
I'm very
That's
gregarious.
messed
I
up,
like chatting
Michael.
with them. That's facts.
Adam?
Piers, if you want an argument on the show, you're going to get it with Adam and Michael right now, by the way, sir.
Go on.
Boy slap argument instead of talking about, like, he's in Israel. What are they going to argue about the driver?
Michael knows you're a legend, but question for you. How often do you take Uber?
All the time. I take Uber constantly.
Okay. Okay, gotcha. I'm just checking in. Because I haven't, the reason that I wanted to chime in is I haven't had a car in 15 years. All I do is Uber. Like DJ Khaled, all I do is win. All I do is Uber. I don't care
His other favorite Muslim is DJ Khaled, the Muslim who's afraid to say free Palestine.
if it's a man, a woman. I don't care if they're a he, she, whatever they got going on these days. Do they speak English? That's my number one thing these days. Because in America right now, there's a lot of Uber drivers.
You're in Israel. You speak Hebrew. Speak Hebrew. You're in it. What do you mean in America? You're in Jerusalem. You're in Palestine right now.
No habla español. Yo vivo en Miami. I live in Miami. And nunca personas de conducir coches habla inglés. None of them speak English. People have been here from Cuba, from Colombia, from Venezuela, from all over the world, Haiti. No English. Now, I speak multiple languages. But please, if you're going to come...
What are they? What are the multiple languages?
to America, man, woman, he, she, whatever you're identifying as, learn the language.
Well, I
If
do
you're gonna
think-
drive
I
the
do
car,
think, to
and
be
please
fair,
don't
I do
make
think-
Michael Knowles late to the airport and get in a fight with his wife, please.
Yeah, I do think it's reasonable to expect any cab driver, Uber or otherwise, to speak the language of the country they're in because they're having to deal with people who want to go somewhere and want to have that conversation. I think that's not unreasonable.
And maybe, Piers, they can even have an ID.
Right, but do you not think that what Michael Knowles said is brazenly sexist? I mean, I have
Terribly
absolutely
offensive.
no problem. I
Michael
have
Knowles
no
can do
problem
no
with
wrong in my
female
book.
Uber drivers.
I would prefer a male Uber driver
Why?
because women are more likely
I
to
think she
get
just wants a man.
Well, hang on. Is there any statistical evidence that female
Yeah.
Uber drivers crash cars more than men? I don't think
I
there
don't
is.
know. I don't know if it's by Uber driver, but women do get into accidents more when you look at how much they drive. So
Okay, you want to talk about the stats? Also, men make better podcasters. So, Pearl, hang up the microphone, put down the headphones, and get in the kitchen. Like, if you want to talk about stats, like women run podcasts are not as successful.
men technically get into accidents more, but it's because they drive a lot more. But women do get into accidents for how much.
But is that actually true pro rata? I don't think it is. I think women
Well, you can name,
famously
you can
are
name
deemed to be
one
safer.
famous sports car driver, race car driver, and that's Danica Patrick. All the rest are
And
dudes.
there's an evolutionary
I think the rest of my
reason.
case
Like,
right there.
it's
Men are better
something with,
drivers. That's
it's
not
something
a
with
debate.
spatial awareness. I can't remember exactly what it is, but there's an evolutionary reason for it.
Well, you know what I do? I managed to
Be
resolve
spatially aware and let the men talk. So-
this whole problem by getting a driverless car. When I get to LA soon, I get Waymo, which have neither male nor female drivers. They have nobody. They have an empty driver's seat, and it drives
trans
you
car.
on its own. And I got to say, first few times it freaks you out. And then you get into it, and then
Yeah.
by the end, I
Piers,
was
you
ordering
might
them.
have just
I
solved
was
the
ordering them on
transition.
my own, and literally getting it to pick me up from a restaurant, take me home on his own. And it is the weirdest thing. But actually, there's no chat problem, Michael, for you to worry about. No chat problem for your wife to worry about. They have so many sensors. I saw one of them, one of the Waymos, pull a stunt in front of me to avoid having a collision with a car that I honestly think 95% of human drivers, if they'd been in that car, they would have crashed. And that was extraordinary to watch. So I think it is the future. Will be Michael Knowles' dream scenario, which is there's nobody sitting there. It's just no one chatting.
It protects you from crashes, missed flights, and from sexism. Isn't that the most important thing of all?
We've got to leave it there. Fascinating conversation. Thank you all very much.
Good to see you, Piers.
Thanks as always, Piers.
Well, I'm joined now by the author, broadcaster, and clinical psychologist,
Dr. Phil
McGraw. Dr. Phil, great to have you back on our
he
session.
looks evil, bro.
It's good to see you, Piers. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
He had that look. He has the look of a man who sold out to Israel. Let me just see for a second. Dr. Phil, Israel. Those eyes say it. Let's see. Let's see. Dr. Phil has been a prominent vocal supporter of Israel and the Jewish people following October 7th attacks. He visited the country. Okay, there you go. Right. Didn't he interview Benjamin Netanyahu? Yeah, he did. He interviewed Netanyahu. He did.
My special guest is Israel's ambassador to the United States.
Look at the fall off too. He's interviewing Mike Huckabee here. This got 7,000 views. This got 7,000 views. His view count is less than the paycheck. Well, it's about the same. If he got 7K, they literally overpaid because he got 7K views.
If we did what we're being accused of doing, it's quite possible.
Bro, how would they even afford to pay for the studio? Well, obviously it says borrow money because it's not coming in for the ad revenue. Yikes.
Great to have you back on Uncensored.
It's good to see you, Piers. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. Busy, but good. That's a good thing.
Well, it's an unusual segment today. I'm going to talk to you about the Tates and then about aliens. Some would say the two may be connected, but we won't make the connection today. Let's start just with this saga of the Tate brothers. So they rose to extraordinary global, I don't know what you would call it, popularity, infamy, by presenting themselves as old-fashioned guys with old-fashioned male values, keep fit, mentally fit, physically fit.
Old-fashioned male values, wearing a purple shirt and saying that Megan Fox with the penis is hotter than Hulk Hogan with the P word, with the vagina.
But also began to become increasingly, in my estimation, misogynist.
Old-fashioned values saying, I went under the desk with the keyboard. I was taking it all, bruv. The girl was at the camera. I was under the desk typing away. I was making them. I was taking it all, bruv. Old-fashioned male values. Yeah, using a keyboard to make Indians. That's what the...
Keep women at home, don't give them the vote, all that kind of stuff. But underlying all this, for the last few years, has been this ongoing series of increasingly serious allegations about alleged criminal conduct that's now exploded, with them being arrested in the United States, almost certainly going to be extradited back to the UK, where they're facing up to 60 charges of sex trafficking, sexual abuse, and so on, which
Look
could
at that clip,
charge
Sharpies, that Nelk Boys clip where he's talking about the
if
keyboard.
they're found guilty. At the same time, you have a lot of people on the conservative right in America saying, I don't believe a word of this, they're political prisoners, etc., etc. What do you make of this?
It reminds me, wait, this just popped up.
These things get attached to my name. It's very inconvenient for me. I have business partners. I have tech teams in Israel. I have things going on, and I get a mess from this too. I'm not here to beg sorry from anybody. I was in a van, and I was in a club. That club also played songs about beating the shit out of women and shooting black people. I didn't put any of the songs on. I'm not the DJ. If the community want to come to me and say, Andrew, we're going to drive you out of Miami or put a bullet in your head, I'll say, well, then do it, because I just sat in a car. The question is, could I have stopped it? Well, no, because I didn't even know they were doing it. What I could do is when they put it on the car is leave the car. These things get attached to my name.
But you know what they did? They didn't say a word because they didn't want to look weak in front of everybody. And it's so funny, too, that they went on this podcast afterwards, and they're like, Tristan, you look really uncomfortable. Watch the stream back. Tristan's like, nobody was uncomfortable.
Well, you know, I've followed this from a distance because I've been concerned at how many young men have plugged into this and followed this. And, you know, I think sometimes that they filled a void. They filled a vacuum of a strong male role model in their lives. And so many of these young men have been devoid of relationship skills. They've been devoid of any real relationship skills, interactions in the real world because they live their lives virtually on a screen. And so here come these guys that, you know, they're kind of like carnival barkers. You know, they are out there as hustlers.
Why is Dr. Phil? Well, there you go. There's the Piers Morgan interview. Hope you guys enjoyed that. This suit's looking fly, huh?